Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Ben from Universal Audio, and welcome to Office Hour. There we go. Sorry about my picture there. Welcome to Office Hours number 3,400. No, it's number 22, but it's number 22. And number 22 is extra special because we're joined by the one, the only DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How you doing today, Jeff?
I am good.
Nice. Where you joining us from? Where's your studio based out of?
It's based out of my home in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
I have a detached garage, so I don't bother anybody.
Nice.
But I was actually taking you on a tour. Let me see if I can do this.
Literally right before we went to air, guys, we finally got the tour, and I was like, "No, Jeff, wait, everyone's gonna want to see this, man. Everyone's gonna want to see this tour."
So
All
now
right.
I can do it this way.
There we go. So now
this
main
is my
station.
garage setup.
Mm-hmm.
That basically have a bunch of keyboards. This is kind of like my own Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah, command center,
turntables, and all the rest of this.
Uh-huh.
I have a drum set over here that sounds absolutely amazing, which I'm super excited to cut something in Luna now.
Hell
because now I can make these drums sound like whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's going to be a million records. All of my records, these are all of my sampling records and digging for records. And I have records over here. I have a Jazzy Jeff Fresh Prince section. And then over here, because especially in the times that we are, this is where my streaming setup that I basically have almost like a whole television studio over here that I can do my live streams, which I do every Saturday at 3:00.
Oh, hell yeah. Where can people catch those?
People stay in the house.
How do we join those?
I am a massive 45 collector.
Mm-hmm.
So I have drawers and drawers of 45s. And then I can actually, when you go in here, this is the actual studio, which of course my wife puts the lights off, and I will cut the lights back on.
Command center number 2. Nice.
This is the actual studio.
Wow.
That vintage drum machines. I actually have when the late Jay Dilla was alive, when he would come to Philly, he would borrow my Mpc 3000 to make beats on. So I have a little memorial to him.
Oh, that's amazing.
Old drum machines, another turntable setup. I have a bunch of vintage keyboards. And of course, have vintage gear that I've collected through the years. I have a vintage Neve board, which the funny thing, this is the board that they used to film Sesame Street on for about 20 years.
There's a lot of Big Bird and Grouch on there.
Yeah, it's a lot of Big Bird. Like, trust me, I had to get it recapped and redone because there was a lot of feathers in here.
I believe it. Yeah.
Vintage organ, and have a drum booth. I work with a lot of incredible drummers, from Chris Dave to Vidal and Dre Harris to Lil John Roberts. So my drums are always great. The mics are always great. Like, that's one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to jump into Luna.
Yeah, because you got the perfect setup for it, man. You got a ton of like actual analog instruments next to sequencers, keyboards, drums, vinyl, a little bit of everything in that studio.
Yeah, and cool. And I think it's good because as much as I am excited about the future, I am somebody that I have bits and pieces of the past too. So.
Yep. That's
quite UA like, isn't it?
It really is.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's why you're part of the family.
Yes.
Like mine's. That's amazing. Well, man, majorly jealous over here. I'm here in this little tiny bedroom. Like, I know I'm very grateful for all the cool stuff I have, but damn, he's got even more. It's so cool, dude. What a sweet setup. And so Jeff, tell us a little bit about your music production process. Typically, like, where do you like to start when you're starting to make a track?
Most of the time, I like to start with drums first, just to kind of give me a feel. It all depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing something sample based, a lot of times I'll just play records. I find myself, if I just play music while I'm cleaning the studio, something is going to come by that's going to spark an idea.
Yep.
And just being able, I think it's just really important for me to get the idea out really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if I kind of know what I want to do with a sample, I'm playing it in my head when I'm making the drums.
Yeah.
So before I lay it in, I kind of got a feel of what I want to do. And then, like I said, you basically start from the drums. And then I kind of let it tell me what's next.
Mm-hmm.
How many different patterns of the drums. I like doing little subtle nuances and changing stuff that you don't necessarily hear and feel, adding one hi-hat to a pattern that just feels a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But then, starting with the drums.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting the feel, getting the groove, getting something that like gets your head bobbing along with it, right? Like you got to get into it, you got to get absorbed with it, and then it'll always tell you what to do next.
Always. And when it doesn't, you got to throw it away.
Right? You got to be fine with just letting go.
Yeah.
How many? Let's try to put a percentage on it. How many starts of a track do you throw away, percentage-wise?
What's interesting? Whenever I'm showing somebody something,
mm-hmm.
if somebody comes in and I'm like, "Hey, have you seen this new such and such?" and I give them an example, they always turn in the records. Every time that I give instruction, I keep it. Because people will be like, wow, that's pretty nice. Like, what are you going to do with that? And I was like, and I just save it on the side and I end up using it for something. So it's really, I almost feel like the more thought I put into it, the worse off I am.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So it's like inspiration, exploration is the key thing.
All day.
Well, man, it's so... Jeff, you basically just gave us the absolute perfect segue to pull up Luna here and do exactly what you just said of pulling up something new, kind of checking it out, and you know what, guys, I put a high likelihood that this one's going to turn into something.
Yeah. I mean, I jumped into Luna. I have never used something that I never went to a manual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was so intuitive that it almost told you what you need to do. That, I imported audio. I made a beat, in my Mpc and bounced all of the audio. I went to import. I found the folder. I grabbed it. It pulled everything in tempo. I was able to put plugins on it, add sends on it. And it was really weird because I'm so used to stopping and checking how to do something that I was almost ready to mix something before I even thought about looking at the manual. So, and it sounded amazing. Oh my God.
Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to have a recording platform where it has a sound to it? Like it's like, why do we go to all the trouble of having so much amazing outboard gear? It's because it has a sound. It has a thing to each individual unit. And we finally now have a DAW in a sense that has a sound to it.
Yeah, I mean, because Neves had a sound, SSLs had a sound, Tridents and APIs. So, you kind of want to get something that has character.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't just be zeros and ones. It needs to be something that is definitive, that what that sounds like.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. So, I'm seeing your screen here. So, tell us a little bit about what you got. Something a little kick-started here. So, these are stems that you brought in from another session, or what's where did you get this little head start from?
What was funny is I actually did this in Luna, because Luna, slave to my MPC, I was able to just push the space bar and basically program everything that I needed in the MPC.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure if I could record straight out of the MPC into Luna. So the MPC has a function that you can bounce all of the stems.
Yep.
So I just bounced the stems, put it to a folder to my desktop, and went to Luna and hit import.
Brought them in.
All of the audio files came in. I immediately did a group with my drums, which I love because that kind of enables me to put the Neve stumming on my drums to make my drums really tight. I started putting the Studer tape saturation on my bass.
Nice.
It's the funny thing is these are kind of the things that I was doing before Luna. Everything is in Luna, so it makes it really easy.
Well, I mean, you just hit on it, right? Because like typically, if you want, you could get some of the similar things. Like you can put the Studer tape plugin on any DAW, but the difference here is instead of you having to put a plugin on it, hey, it's just built into the mixer. There's a whole section just to hold tape machines for every audio track and every instrument track in your session.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, but especially because I like to group my drums and basically get the balance that I want. Because it's funny, just me being a DJ, I'm so used to playing with 2 tracks.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have this thing that I do that whenever I program drums, I always make a drum bus. That because I feel like I have so many people that'll come in and ask me, what did I do to the drums? And I'll tell them that's because it's 2 tracks.
Yeah. It's simple. It's just a sample.
It's easier to kind of manipulate, but I can also hit the spill button and open the 2 tracks up and change it. Like if the hi-hats are too low or too loud, or if the snare's too aggressive, you can kind of do it in the middle. But I like managing it with just the drum bus.
Yep. Me too. I'm a huge fan of that. And especially by the time you get to the end of your mix, you end up with you only really have to look at like 8, maybe 10 faders total for your whole thing. You can really, then you're playing with like what should be up, what should be down, kind of more the dynamics inside the song rather than, dealing with 100 tracks inside of your session at all times.
Yeah, it's super simple. But being able to do that, and I went through I was in Brazil last year and bought maybe about $1,000 worth of Brazilian records in 27 suitcases that I had to bring back, and found a really cool Brazilian sample, and just put it in. And I've just been coming in every day playing this and tweaking it. Almost using this as a dummy session to kind of get familiar what Luna does, how Luna sounds. I bounced this mix 10 different times. I took it in the studio to listen to it and the bottom and the roundness of it. But yeah, I'm in heaven right now.
Oh yeah. Well, let's let the people take a listen to it. Let's show them what we're working with here.
in for my fade.
Yep, exactly. Jeff just continually asks me questions how to do things. I was like, Jeff, we got to save this to do it on the stream so you guys can see. But man, Jeff, just by the way, you had so many people in the chat dancing just now. Like normally I'm the one that's like all impatient, wanting to be like, all right, cool, yeah, no, I get the idea. Let's move on. But yo, I just wanted to let that ride because that it's so sick, dude.
Yeah, the snare is fire, and that chop that happens later on, man. Oh, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, I'll go through a record from top to bottom and just look for pieces. And then it's really cool because under normal circumstances, I have a ton of musicians that a lot of times I'll have an idea like that and we'll just take that and change it into all live instruments and completely flip the feel. So
oh yeah.
So you like replay the sample effectively in that sense, or
yeah, a lot of times you'll use the sample as inspiration of the kind of feel that you want, the changes and but yeah, it's I use so many of the records that I have, as motivation because being blessed to, especially to travel around the world, I can grab records from everywhere. So sometimes I book my shows depending on where the good records are, so you can kind of go.
You have to tell your manager to like put you in certain places around the globe when you need a pickup.
You can almost give me a ham sandwich to go to Brazil. So,
so I'm curious, like out of that, what was it, 27 suitcases of records from Brazil? Have you listened to them all?
I would go to one of those bodegas on the street that have the suitcases outside. And you buy a suitcase for $10, and I would just fill it with records. And I'd rather just pay extra bag charge and then shipping charges just to get the records home.
Yep, get them. That way, they get home safe and sound. You can bring a bunch of them at once.
They are with me.
Yep, exactly. 50 pounds at a time.
Exactly.
That's so cool, man. Well, so I know just before we went on air, we got you up and running with Shape. So for a track like this, like what would be, do you have like a next move kind of in mind for what this track would need, or is this kind of already where it's at and you'd be moving on to another track?
You know what? Sometimes I listen to the bass that's in the sample, and I try to find a similar sound, like something like this was more of an upright bass. And what I would have a tendency to do is roll the bottom end off of that sample to basically get rid of the bass and replay the bass, because then you can kind of make it move how you want it to move.
Yep.
And you would just do it in the sections. You almost have to listen to the sample and try to remember the cadence of the bass, and you would play it. Depending if the sample is in key, sometimes, I would send it to, I'm friends with some of the most amazing keyboard players, from James Porter to Kaidi Tatham, that you would just send it and they would replay keys over top of it. And then you would kind of layer it in. It's almost a process that it starts, with the idea. Like I said, getting the idea out as fast as you can is really important. But then you can just really, once you got the idea, I'm going to pass it to you, and then you do something and you send it back, and then you may add some scratches or something to it.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have a mix process. I am mixing from the time I start the song.
Okay.
Like I'm always tweaking drums and tweaking levels to the point that by the time the last instrument comes in, once I set it where it needs to be, it's really reverb and delay if I want to do it. But as far as sonically, I'm good.
Yeah, because everything else, you've kind of been doing it on your way to that point. Like, it's not like, okay, now we're switching gears and going to the mix mode. It's like, you've been mixing since you started, since you, like, from the moment you capture the first sample and start selecting drums, right? You're kind of, production is mixing and vice versa in that sense.
Absolutely. And I'm somebody that, I have an extensive drum library of the drums that I really like and how I want them to sound. So I am not really the person that'll put a kick drum in and EQ it for an hour. It's kind of the kick drum that I want.
Yeah.
I'd rather EQ the kick drum for an hour and then sample it and put it in my library so I know I'm done.
Yep. So that way, yeah. Anytime you pull out a kick drum, you're like, nah, this one's already good to go. Like there is
Yes.
no extra work needed at the moment. Yeah, that's such an efficient way of doing it. And then how many drums you got in that library now? I'm sure you've been building that thing up for years.
I don't think I will ever use every drum, and I definitely will not use every sample that I have. And sometimes you can get caught up. You can get caught up in your library and you realize that you haven't been making any music.
Yep. It's a lot easier to just clean up your library over and over again.
What I've done, especially like in my MPC, I've made super kits that may have, as many, it's 8 banks of 8 that I'll fill all of the banks up with drums. And for the next year, I just use this kit.
Yeah,
because it's simple. It auto loads when you call it up, and you have drums that you use, and it just kind of takes some of the guesswork out. It's kind of like the Einstein theory that he wore the same thing every day.
Yep.
Because it took the guesswork out of what he was going to wear. It's kind of the same thing. I have, my drums and my stationary stuff, and then everything else is the icing.
Nice. That's cool. So, I mean, I could ask you a million questions, but I know you also got a million questions. So, what's kind of top of your list? How can we help you go deeper and deeper with Luna?
Well, one of the things that I was telling you is like for a track like this, sometimes I like to add percussion, and I will use something pretty much like Stylus.
Yep.
Like Stylus, they have a lot of the percussion loops of what you can use. And I was just curious, is once I put a Stylus, if I put a Stylus tambourine in this song, how do I turn that into audio?
Well, let's find out. Do you have Stylus installed in this machine? Can we just pull it up and show the people how this happens in real time?
So how about I go here?
Well, if you hit the plus button to the left of it, that brings up the assignment. There you go.
Okay.
And so
I love the fact that
the search.
I can type in Stylus and it comes up. How are you telling me my Sage folder is not found? That doesn't work.
Is it in that Spectrasonics folder there? In the middle. Might be in that, maybe.
Sage.
There's an alias to it there. Maybe.
It's pointing to an alias. So I have it. Let me see.
Well, you should be able to actually click on that alias, and I think it'll dump you in there. Yeah. So hit the back button. There you go.
I think one more.
There you go. Double click on that. Should take you there.
I'll have a quick Google.
I have it. I know. All right, so let me try to do this again. Let me get rid of it and call
I'll just say, so real quick while Jeff's looking for this, I saw a couple questions here in the chat wondering about how you're working with the MPC inside Luna. So you're using one of the new MPs, right? It's the plugin. You have the MPC plugin loaded up in Luna. And which one you got, like the Live or the Live X, or which one you got on your desk there?
Yeah, I have the X.
Nice. Yeah, so the cool thing about the new MPCs is you can load, similar to like the NI machine, you can just load that up inside of Luna as an instrument, and then it automatically picks up the tempo information and lets you kind of rock with the workflow that you're used to. Just all happening inside of Luna without needing any external MIDI or MIDI clocking.
Okay, so you don't want to be in here. All right, so. Nope, that would be in store.
It looks like you need to have the alias in the where is it here? In the username library application support Spectrasonics folder, and then you can, as long as that alias is pointing to the hard drive that you've got the Sage library on, if you've moved it, then it should find it. So,
and it's funny because we just okay. Let me do this.
Do you know if you'd put it on an external drive, Jeff?
Yes, and you know what? This because I just got a new computer.
Aha,
and
you're in
I'm
a
trying to
transition
put
phase.
everything in the internal drive. Now I have it. Okay, so let's do this. Drums and samples. Here we go.
Aha, okay.
Boom.
Link successful. Delete this instance and call it back up. Okay.
Boom. Easy.
Nice. Yeah, just remove the one above. There you go.
People have figured out that the feedback button in Luna is linked to a Jira board, and you guys, yeah, it absolutely is. All our engineering and development people use Jira, so someone just call us a very smart company because we use Jira. Go us!
Amazing.
There we go. This is what we've been looking for. Yep, tambourines.
Now what I'll do is I'll put host sync on.
Okay. Oh, you don't do the drag and drop.
I can play it. So the funny thing, I'll either if I could figure out a way to record it, I would record maybe 8 bars of that and then copy it.
Yep.
Or I know that there is a way that you can pull the MIDI notes in.
Exactly. That's you read my mind. So that's what I was about to tell you. So yeah, drag and drop that onto the track. So that'll be that way you got it triggering from MIDI.
Now, do I say use tempo?
Say keep current tempo.
There you go.
There you go. Cool. So now there you go. So now that'll be the thing triggering the playback. You can actually, I think you can turn host sync off now that you have that loaded up.
Oh, yeah.
Inside RMX. Yep. Perfect. Cool. So this one. Wait. Why did? Oh, because are we off by a track or? I see what happened. So where you drag the MIDI regions seems to have a big effect. What's happened here is you've dragged the MIDI regions onto a blank instrument track, and your RMX is one below it. There we go. Perfect. Cool. So now, so this is really common feedback that we've been, people have been asking about. All right, cool. So now I've got an instrument track. How do I convert that to audio?
Yes.
Super easy. So yep, exactly. Actually, all you need to do is come down to instrument 1 and just kind of select both of those clips.
Peace.
Yep, just select them both, and that should automatically.
You can zoom in a bit actually with the command bracket, or you can just
R2.
that's the one.
There you go. Yep. So select those 2 clips, and you notice how your mouse changes, right? So like when you're at the bottom of the clip, it's gonna be like a selection tool, but when you go up to the top, it becomes more of a grabber tool.
The one with the big cross. That's the one. You can just click on the whole clip with that one.
That's the one.
Yeah. And then you can shift on the next one as well.
Perfect. All right, so now go up to File, Export. Do all tracks as files. And so, yeah, you might want to just close your RMX there. So see where it says multiple sources selected? And it looks like it's a little box. Click on that. Up one. Yep, right there. Yeah. That's the one. So now you can deselect, or see where it says tracks. Yeah, you can hit the box right next to that, and it'll automatically turn all the other ones off. Oh, yep. One by one. There you go. There you go. So this is on instrument 1.
That last one is the tambourine, actually.
Actually, flip those 2 around. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. And then hit done. Cool. So now Luna's going to export that one. I think for bit depth, you may want to make that 24-bit. I actually haven't experimented with the floating point export yet. So yeah, 24, and then just hit mix down, and it's going to quickly export what you got selected. Dun dun dun, and then literally just drag that file over onto the track list on the left-hand side, and it'll make a new track and put it right at the beginning of the song.
Oh, see, these are little things that I'm realizing. So pulling this here,
Yep,
automatically makes it a track. Wow.
And it drops it down wherever your playhead is located. So now you got an audio version of that RMX track.
Oh my goodness. Ah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Boom. All right, we got one.
That changes everything.
Right? Isn't it?
So that's pretty much the same thing for Stylus, Trillion, pretty much anything like that.
Yep, exactly. So the one I know you mentioned, actually the way that you did the MPC export, that's honestly probably the best way to handle getting out of the MPC, because that way you get it multi-tracked. Because in Luna, it's only pulling it up as like a stereo. So if you were to do that trick with your MPC, you'd have to do it over and over again, kind of muting each track. So you're, since it's got the built-in export, you did that one the perfect way.
And we were talking yesterday. So for the MPC users, I realized something that I programmed the beat inside of Luna using the MPC, and I quit out of it. And I realized that because Luna does an auto save, later on, I was kind of clicking to wonder, what is this Untitled? And when I clicked it, it loaded the MPC back up with the samples.
With everything loaded.
And I was so blown away that I probably did it about 5 times to make sure that I realized that Luna actually goes into MPC and saves everything.
Yep, everything, that project file gets saved as part of the Luna project. So you pull it back up, boom, you got everything.
Yeah, that's genius. That's genius. Because I think sometimes you get, sometimes having to say 5 or 6 things to make sure that you have everything to your song. And not only do you not have to save it on an MP, but with Luna, I could just quit and go get something to eat.
Exactly.
Because it saves the last thing that you're there.
Yeah, exactly. Nice, man. Well, what was got some more questions that we can help you out with?
Well, you showed me the automation yesterday.
Do you mind reteaching that to the people at home that want to know what you want, what you know now?
So even with something like this, in here, I'm trying to remember how you told me to do that. I think I zoom out, which I did the manual zoom.
Yep, you did the hard way.
Okay, what did you show me? View.
Yep.
So I can go to mute.
Well, the mute will you'll hit the mute button. So, if you, that's kind of the old school way. Luna stuff is really smart about how it does mute, so it shouldn't give you any clicks or pops when you do it too.
Okay, so and I do this just push and record.
Well, no. If you want to automate it by actually hitting the button on and off, you go to auto. Yep, make that touch or latch. Yep, either one of those. And now when you play back, it'll record your mutes, or actually it's going to record any automation you do.
Wait a minute, let me take off. Oh yeah, it's gone. And if you look, So that applies to make sure that I don't mess this up. Is you put it back on read.
Yep, exactly. Because if you leave it in touch mode, that means any changes you make to that while it's in playback, it's going to think, oh, he's trying to do some automation. And then 10, 15 minutes later, you're like, why is my snare drum just going in and out and doing like all sorts of weird stuff? Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah. I've done that. I've pulled that mistake so many times.
Listen, this is amazing because it's almost like it doesn't, like everything is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to go to automation mode per se.
Yep.
It's automation is there. When you want it, you just add it, put it in read, and continue on.
Exactly. And it's so dope that it's like not just the mixer controls, but all the plugin controls. Like literally any knob or fader on your channel, if you put in automation, touch, or latch mode, it's going to record it. And hopefully for anyone that's not familiar, you know, I'm saying these two modes are about the same. They're actually pretty different. So touch listens. It looks for when you're clicking on a fader or on a pan pot. So like as long as you're holding on the fader, it's going to write automation. But then as soon as you let go, it pops back to what the original exactly. Whereas latch mode, it'll as soon as you touch it doesn't do anything until you touch it and you start making a move. And then it's like cool, you can make your moves, but then it just keeps on recording until you press stop, and then it will go back to the value that it was before. So they're both there's subtle differences between the two. I personally use touch mode probably the most because if you're coming from a thing where you've got a good balance or you've got you've got a mix that's kind of already working for you, but you just want to like push the snare drum up or do something kind of temporarily to the mix. You just touch. All you gotta do is grab the fader, pull it up, do what you want to do, let go, and then it goes back to what was already good. So typically touch mode is going to be the one that you want to rock if you're doing stuff like this at home. But the latch mode is also super powerful if you just want to like balance everything and then say like, cool, from here to the end of the song, let's be down here now after those automation moves.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you don't want to do it live, you can still put in your points. Like you can draw your automation in.
Yeah.
So, I could draw another snare automation by just putting the dots and cutting it down.
Yeah, well, and also like for something like where you're at right now with muting, what you could do is you could just select part of that region. So if you just make basically like select one or two of those snare drums that aren't already automated, maybe.
Oh, that isn't.
Yeah, just to show people how to create it. So now if you go down to the bottom, you'll see that your mouse will turn into like a little up and down thing. There you go. Grab that, move it up. And since we're on mute, it's going to be, it's either on or off for mute. So you got to pull it all the way up. Boom.
Yeah.
Just like that. So you can this is kind of my preferred way a lot of times to do automation is just like take like a phrase or take like a couple bars of material, select them like that. And then you get that little handle that allows you to pull it up or pull it down and make a move for a whole area.
And then you can change what you're automating
over there
on the other side.
Yep, exactly. We call that the focus browser on the left-hand side. So that's where you're going to, as you saw earlier, that's where you find all your plugins, you find all your automatable parameters, like the color palette. Like so much good stuff happens in that window, but it automatically responds in real time to what it is that you're doing, which is, so right now it's like, cool, you want automation modes, and you can get all these. And since you've clicked over there, Jeff, what you can do is you can actually use the up and down arrows on your keyboard, and it'll let you scroll between those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or maybe not. Tom, is that... I thought it was just arrow. Is it shift or is it command plus arrow? Oh, sorry, you muted, Tom.
I thought it was just up and down arrow. Let me check.
Yeah. It might be shift up and down. Or command up and down. The Luna experts can't remember which one it is. See, this is why we always need our Connor R11 on these calls, Tom. They've got the encyclopedia.
Mini Connor. No one's as quick as Connor. I'm trying to be.
Oh wait, no, dude. Connor's so fast. He's already chatted me. He said it is supposed to be up and down, but we've run into a bug.
Aha.
Got it.
All right,
Okay,
so we were
both knew it, Ben. We were just like
exactly.
No, it's not
all
quite
right,
there.
so I am still all right. Good. I get to keep my expert qualifications still.
So now I am very curious about this warp function because I discovered something accidentally. And I was kind of like, wait, I changed the entire tempo of my song and everything just kind of locked.
Yeah. That's pretty dope, right?
Very dope.
So
It's one of my favorite bits. This.
So you see on your snare track, you see where it says mode, and right now it's on time. So like right before auto read, there's mode time. So every track can be one of two modes. It can either be in time mode or tempo mode. And this is, if you're familiar with Pro Tools, it's basically the difference between samples and clicks, or samples and ticks. So when it's in time mode, it's going to always respect the minutes and seconds ruler, and it's like, we are locked to minutes and seconds. But when you move something into tempo mode, now that track is going to stick with the tempo. So you're saying this is musical material, this is on the grid already, and now if I speed up or slow down my session, I want any track that is in tempo mode to speed up or slow down along with my session. So right now what you just did, Jeff, is you put the snare into tempo mode, but all the rest of your drum tracks they're probably still in time mode. So
how do you make everything?
So make your kick track a little bit taller, and I'll show you.
Well, you can go. You see, Jeff, at the top, you've got the there's the little track's name, and there's a logo top left just above where it says drums.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you click on that, you can fix the track heights for every track, nice and neat. So if you want to organize it back, medium's quite good because you can see everything like clip levels, or large if you want to get in there.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So now, to answer your question, Jeff, so how do you make all of them do tempo? What you're going to do is you're going to hold Option on your keyboard and then click on that where it says, you're basically going to change the mode. By holding Option, that means you change the mode for all of your tracks in your session. So on that kick track, if you do Option and then click on time and then go tempo. There you go. Now, if you scroll down, all of your tracks should say they're on tempo. Yep.
All of them are on tempo.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So now, so right now you could change your tempo, and all these tracks are going to follow it. But there's one. Yep. And now try it. Bring it down to 80. Let's slow jam this a little bit more.
I didn't want to do it. That sounds amazing.
I can make it sound even better. So
Really?
So this is perfect. Let's keep this track soloed up. So you see on that track where it says Warp Polyphonic?
Yeah.
Click on that. So we have polyphonic, we've got monophonic, we've got vari speed, which acts just like a tape machine, where actually it'll lower the pitch and the speed. It'll lower the pitch and the speed, or raise it depending on which way you're going. But the one I want you to check out right now is Luna Razorblade. So you notice those last two algorithms. These are ones that UA have developed. And what Razorblade does is it's a transient preserver. So what it's doing is it's always looking at every region that you use that on. It's looking at the transients, and it's prioritizing. Great, I want to keep all these transients going on, and then it'll do some crazy stuff on the back end of each little warp to make it so it sounds incredible. So typically for little up and downs, or especially if you're doing any like breaks or drums or anything like that that's got transient material, Razorblade will bring back, like we were playing with this yesterday with Tom. I think we were doing it on a full drum loop that had like drums, hi-hats, everything all in it. When you went from polyphonic to Razorblade, all of a sudden you could hear the hats again. They went from like a washy kind of compressed, something that feels like it's been stretched, back to like what it sounded like originally, just slower. So I'd be really curious to hear what this sample that you just played. We're down 20 BPM, so we're down a big amount. Let's see what Razorblade sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like that's one of the things that you didn't really talk a lot about.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't, when you're competing with mini Moogs, Neve summing, and built-in Studer tape, we had to leave with our best foot forward. But man, I totally agree with you. Like some of the stuff like that, like day to day, like what are you gonna need every day when you're working inside and making music? You need incredibly good sounding stretch algorithms to make the audio do whatever it is you want it to do.
We could try that on the drums, right? We could have a listen to say.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So yeah, we just did it to the sample, but you can do the same thing, Jazzy. Hit Option and click on Warp, and now it'll set the algorithm for all of those. So these are still on Polyphonic, which isn't on probably usually isn't the best one for drums. So if you Option click on Polyphonic and select Razor Blade, the whole beat's about to sound even better.
I noticed the little transient markers on the snare track.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Can you move any of those?
Absolutely. No. We just put them there for decoration. They're like Christmas lights. We just wanted to dress up the top of your. No, exactly. So those are exactly what you thought. They're warp markers. So you can get in and you can move and manipulate. And I know you were talking about this earlier too, with what you do with like break beats and when you bring in like a sample or something, and you want to lock it in exactly on the grid the way that you want it to, and maybe even potentially like move things around. Exactly. So what you did is where it says view, so like right below the snare track, it's the same thing that you click on to get into automation. So right now it says warps. Exactly. So basically if you put a track and you hit view and you go to warps, that's going to show you all of the warp markers for that track. And then it's literally just as easy as grabbing that little warp thing up top and drag and move it however you like.
Can you free move it? Or is it just going to be grid?
You can do both. So right now you're in grid mode. So notice how at the top of your timeline, where it says snap, so you've got snap mode turned on. And this is, I always recommend to stay this way. So that way, like by default, all of your regions, all your clips stay on the grid. But what's dope is that if you press and hold the command key, now, if you command and now try dragging that warp marker left or right, you're going to notice it's no longer snapping to the grid. You're free to move it anywhere you want on the timeline. So if you want to kind of like nudge stuff back a little bit, you just grab on the thing, and then you can either be pressing command before you click, or you can even do it afterwards, and it'll be like, oh, cool, you want to slide? Let's do it. So yeah, command lets you get out of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool thing here as well, because you're tracking out everything individually from the MP, so you've got kicks and separately. If you just want to nudge a snare hit manually just to get swing and stuff, you can just go in there and use the warp. Yeah. There was that cool feature that Connor showed me as well, Ben, with grabbing the warp at the bottom, so it automatically lets you move the 1 point. It's nice and easy. That's the mode.
So Jeff, what he's talking about is when you're down near or on that snare track where we're looking at the warps. So if you have your cursor at like the bottom half of that clip, see that? See how it's got like a triple crown kind of thing? So what this does, this is going to be, you're going to love this feature when you start doing this with like breakbeats and other music loops, is if you click that, it'll actually make a warp marker in the middle and two on the sides. So the two on the sides, lock those in, so it'll basically say, cool, leave these two warps exactly where they are, and I just want to be moving this middle one.
Yep. Yep. You don't know how often I had to manually do that.
Click. Yeah, you gotta go click, 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 and then move it. Nah, you can do that.
Yes.
Just like go to the bottom. It's by, so what we call contextual controls. So by going to the bottom, it's like, cool, I know what you want to do. You want to be able to just hold those two and move this one? I got you. And then all you gotta do is click, and it makes those markers, and you can move that middle one independent.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you hold down Command, Jeff, you can just drag or nudge that one snare using that 3-pin. I called it the crown because it looks like
it does look like a crown to me too. Yeah.
What is the easy way that you showed me to zoom in and out?
Mm-hmm. So select what you want to see, and then hit the E key.
The E key.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So that'll blow. It responds again contextually. So since you had the track selected, it's like, cool. Let me give you that snare track full height. Now, if you wanted to do the same thing horizontally, you can make a little bit of a selection on that track. So yeah, there you go. Make a selection. Now hit the E key. Boom.
There you go.
Exactly. So it responds anything that's selected, whether it's like one track, 5 tracks, a part of a track, like whatever it is that is selected, it will do that. And now you're seeing a cool thing here of, whatever you have selected, you can be moving all of the selected areas of the audio together.
Yeah, that's
that's what you're looking for.
See how it turned red as well. You see, Jeff, when you moved it to the left, it ended up going red, the waveform. If you move one of those warps pretty far, that's letting you know as well that you're sort of pushing that algorithm to its beyond its comfortable point. But that's also where a lot of all of your early samplers would have had like artifacts that sounded kind of cool. If you want to do deliberate stretching and beyond what it's supposed to be sounding great at, you can do it if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
You could go for a deliberate, like the old sort of like jungle vocal stuff where it would have like grainy stretch to it. You can just keep going beyond.
All right, something solo.
It sounds like the tambourine was. So if you ever get into the state where you're like, what's soloed, what's muted, what's going on, you see at the top left, I don't know why that's making it through because it definitely is muted.
Yeah, I did something.
He did something funky. So what I would do, Jeff, is up in the top left or up in the timeline, you see there's like that global section with like a red dot, a mute, and up a little bit. So by the transport controls and then over to the right.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Yep. So what these do is these are really helpful. This is why they're up here, and they're kind of tiny, but they're just always helpful. So these allow you to quickly turn things on and off globally. So like you've got one track that's in record. You've got like I think the tambourine track is waiting for MIDI right now. So you can actually, if you hit the red dot, it'll unrecord enable all of your tracks. So it's just like, cool, I'm done recording. Turn them all off, and it does the same thing for solos, mutes, overloads, and then of course you can toggle the arm mode there as well.
Oh wow. Okay, this is weird. I don't know what I did, but the only thing that's playing is my tambourine.
Somehow we managed to mute everything else in the side. Well, you know what? So let's try this. Let's hit Command Z a bunch of times. Or before we do Command Z, remember the trick I showed you for zooming all the way back out? Yeah. All right. For those following, it's Control, Option, Command, down arrow. And that just zooms everything in your session so you get an overview. So now, Jeff, what I'd say hit the undo button. Because we did a bunch of weird warping and all sorts of stuff. Yep, keep on pressing it. You can undo all the way back to when we started working on the session today.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
See how it's undoing the tempo change as well.
Yep. So you'll be able to tell by like when the tambourine audio clip that we dragged in, when that disappears, that's how we know we've gone one step too far. That's all good because you can always redo that stuff too.
And it's undoing while in play.
There we go. All right. So why are we not hearing anything? Because in theory, we should be hearing this together.
So all of those beat tracks go to the bus at the top. So is there anything going on with the routing? If we open the mixer, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see.
Yeah, you want to switch over to your mixer, Jeff, and let's see. Maybe we must have hosed something up.
Well, there's audio, so.
Well, so yeah, you can see the Neve summons bumping.
But not the Neve fader, the bus itself.
Yeah.
The fader itself. So
we managed to hose his entire session. Well, so hit go ahead and hit stop, and let's try turning the arm back on so that was up in the global area.
Oh, that bus was in arm mode, so maybe there's something there.
Mm-hmm. It's the bottom right
it's the
one.
just to the right of the mute. Yeah,
that one. And then hit the mute one too, because you now we have nothing muted in the session, so I'm not sure why it's thinking something's muted.
Well, I think there's the MIDI shaker.
Yeah.
It's playing MIDI shaker.
This is weird.
And it's playing.
So now the arm's on, Jeff, you see you've got arm on the bus there. It's interesting to explain, but on the drums bus, your green track, you've got set that to none for a second. See if we can get the drums back coming through there.
No, let's try it. This is
check the output routing. Maybe.
Well, actually, what I think it might be, Tom. So Jeff, just try go file, close session, and then reopen it. I think I was talking about this in an earlier session too. A lot of times, like if weird things are happening in Luna, I'd say like 80 to 90% of the time, you can just close the session, reopen it, and it'll come back.
And reopen.
Surprise, surprise! Turn it on and off.
There you go.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually I'm glad that we solved this problem, because we solved it just in time to come up on our hour, man. This is Jeff, I hope this was helpful for you, man, because it was fun for us to like kind of guide you through this thing and be seeing what you're doing with it. But that track is so sick.
Listen, I feel so bad because when you showed me the warp function and what you just showed me, I almost hung up on y'all.
hey Ben, before we go, we got one.
I was like, okay, I got it. Let me go do something.
Yeah, you're like cool. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later. I gotta go start warping.
Like, that's all I needed. Yeah. Hey, we got time, Ben, to show Jeff the vary speed, because I think that's going to blow his mind for flipping the samples that he's using.
Yes.
Yep.
Just
so
really quick. Just if you close the mixer, Jeff, and go back to the timeline, you can do it with the Command equals shortcut, just to close the mixer, or do it there. Yep, that's cool on that button. You know how we put all the tracks in meet like a fixed height? If you go and do that just at the top, just by above drums, you can set the heights of all the tracks. Just put them in medium just so you can see everything. Yeah, that's cool. And then if you pop every track in tempo mode again, like Ben showed, so clicking on mode with option held down, we can put from mode time on the kick track. If you go down to time there, hold down option and put everything in tempo.
Yeah.
And then put everything, instead of putting it in polyphonic or razor blade like we showed earlier, if we put it in vary speed, the third option, again with option held down, you'll do all the tracks. Right, hit play and it should sound like your beat as you expect it to.
All right, now goose it up or down and just get ready to have a big smile on your face.
Especially with the Brazilian sample, I think it's just going to be.
Oh my
God. Oh yeah, your account's being weird this morning, Jeff. You're now on you got to restart Luna train.
That's the end.
But it picked the perfect time. It picked the perfect time because we made it through the entire hour. We got to show people so many cool tricks and hopefully teach you a thing. I think we've taught you enough to now be off to the races and start making some more stuff.
Oh, listen, I'm so excited right now.
That's awesome.
This has been great, man. You know, like I said, and I said yesterday, you have to give out a huge shout out to you guys for releasing Luna early while everybody has been pretty much on lockdown, because it's really given us something to do and something to look forward while we're, in the house.
Right.
And listen, that is definitely appreciated because, it's weird times right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if people have to stay in the house, whatever you can do to entertain people to make sure that they don't go outside is great. And when I tell you, I am entertained for the rest of the week.
Oh, that's fantastic,
Thanks
man.
so much, man.
Well, dude, Jeff, yeah, dude, this has been so good, and man, it's lovely to see your face again. I know it was a little scary there maybe for you for a minute. So I'm so glad that you've it seems like you've made a bounce completely back and are on full recovery mode right now.
I'm great.
You're looking good, sounding good. Like I see your full life, bro, and it's really good to see.
I appreciate it.
Nice. Well, awesome. And cool. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Jeff, for hanging out with us and taking us for a little wander through Luna together. And for everybody watching, we're going to be back this afternoon at 2 p.m. PST for a little Luna happy hour, where we'll do a bunch of Q&As. We've seen a lot of questions kind of stack up. So we want to get through as many of those as we possibly can this afternoon and just kind of hang out together and enjoy a Friday afternoon. Hell yeah. So great. Well, Jeff, dude, again, man, thanks so much for sharing all this, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thanks guys. See you later.
Thank you.